the whole lecture 5, the cerebrum. Cerebrum, diencephalon, and we are on to the brainstem. Notice it's inferior or below the the diencephalon. It connects the brain to the spinal cord, the brain stem. It's kind of like a stem of a plant, connecting it to that spinal cord. And it has multiple parts as well. Okay, so the midbrain is the first part we'll talk about. The midbrain is right in the middle of the brain, right below or inferior to that thalamus. And what is its role? Well, reflexes. It controls some of our reflexes, like our visual reflexes, our auditory reflexes, and posture. Ooh, I should fix mine. So when you're, looking around and all of a sudden something comes flying at your face and you close your eyes so you don't get damaged, that will be your midbrain helping you close your eyes quickly. Auditory reflexes too. Those will often be something that like a doctor could test for to see if certain parts of your ears are damaged. We can see if those are working, but those will both be controlled by your midbrain. Midbrain reflexes. Midbrain flexes, midbrain flex. I don't know. All right, next we have the pons. The pons are kind of like puffy, yeah? They look kind of like a bulge, a puff out, the second one down. The inferior to the midbrain, superior to the medulla. These control breathing. That's their main function. Pons breathing. Pons breathing. I was trying to think of a trick, but it just ended up making a weird puffing noise. Pons, puff. Oh, pons, puff, like they bulge. Puff, like a breath, puff of breath. Yeah. Control your breathing. Medulla oblongata is inferior to those pons. It's the lowest or the most inferior portion of the brain. It connects to the spinal cord. This is the end of the brain stem. We have some more reflexes here. Reflexes for that pleasant old vomiting when you're swallowing, coughing, sneezing. It also regulates heart rate and blood vessel diameter, so like blood pressure. You'll notice some things are controlled in more than one portion of the brain, or many things are, but here's some key pieces here. And finally, the reticular formation, which I don't even have in this picture, but it kind of runs through all of them. It's like a narrow portion of the brain stem scattered throughout. And its function is consciousness and sleep cycles. Consciousness and sleep cycles. So if something happened to your reticular formation, you would be forever unconscious. Yes, important. All right. Guess that part. Oh, I did it again. That part of the brainstem. You are babysitting. OMG, how cute is this 2-year-old? Until he grabs a flashlight with an ultra bright light and he keeps shining it in your eyes. Thank goodness for your visual reflexes controlled by the blank, keeping your eye from getting damaged by this bright light. But seriously, could this kid either bring you some sunglasses or stop? Not that I had a personal experience with this or anything. What part of the brainstem are we talking about here? Controlling your visual reflexes? It is the midbrain. The midbrain. Visual reflexes, auditory reflexes. All right, guess that part of the brainstem. Look at that, Tracy Turnblad. Good morning, Baltimore. You hear that alarm and you are up and at 'em. Good morning. Not that you want to be up, but that alarm put the sleep cycles controlled by this part of the brainstem to a halt. What part of your brainstem controls sleep and cycles? The reticular formation. Yeah. You told your friend that when you see someone throw up, you throw up. So if they're really honestly like saying they're going to throw up and they actually are going to get sick, like they need to get out of your house ASAP. Suddenly, boom, there she goes, throwing up. And then boom, there you go, throwing up. Green puddles everywhere. What part of your brain is responsible for your throwing up? That reflex of vomiting. This part of the brainstem is the medulla oblongata. All right. Inhale, exhale. I need to do this. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Whenever you're stressed or overwhelmed, 3 deep breaths can do you a wonder. Kick this part of your brainstem into drive. What part of your brainstem is responsible for this breathing? The pons. Puff. Yeah? Pons puff? All right. Finally, this might be the last one. Karen Ann Quinlan. Do you remember that name associated with Phineas Gage on the same textbook page? The woman who became a vegetable because of taking prescription medications while consuming alcohol. What part of her brainstem did she damage that caused her to become unconscious, that caused her to become a vegetable? That's the reticular formation as well, spread throughout your brainstem. Achoo! Cough, cough, cough. Yeah? You sneeze and you cough 3 times as you enter the bus. Everyone looks at you, giving you the stink eye. You say, I don't have COVID, it's just allergies. What part of your brainstem caused this whole ruckus of a scene at an inconvenient time? The medulla oblongata reflexes. All right, here we are. And this is our brainstem. We have the reticular formation here in this picture in orange. You can see how it's spread throughout. And then we have our other portions of the brainstem. We have the midbrain, number 1. I wasn't supposed to have you guess that, but I just told you. Number 2, what's that one that puffs out? That's the pons. And number 3, down at the bottom, we have the medulla oblongata. Last but not least, the 4th major portion of the brain. We covered the cerebrum, we covered the brainstem, and we covered the diencephalon. Now we're at the cerebellum back here. It looks like a little bun in the back of the brain, but it's inside your skull, not outside. This part here is inferior to the occipital lobe. It looks kind of like a mushroom, a branching tree. A lot of people labeled it in their Lecture 5 diagrams. It's posterior to the brainstem. Now, the cerebellum is responsible primarily for coordination of voluntary muscular activity. Obviously, it's working together with, that frontal lobe that's going to send those motor movements out. But it helps coordinate the voluntary muscular activities, right? So like when you're walking and you're all coordinated, or like hand-eye coordination, all that, cerebellum. It also maintains tone and posture. There are these little guys called peduncles. Not little guys, they're kind of big guys. They're major nerve tracts that extend from the cerebellum. So you'll find those there as well. A big area where there's some nerve tracts. All right, which number labels the cerebellum below? 1 is the cerebrum, not that one. 2 is the diencephalon, not that one. 4 is the brainstem, not that one. It is number 3. And finally, big idea 21. Describe the following diseases and disorders of the brain. I am going to post these as separate links. There's 3 videos I have here for you to watch. You can watch these videos, and as you're watching them, add some notes down, add some details down, just some more diseases, disorders I thought would be interesting to learn about, to throw on to the end of this lecture before we finish off our Unit 4. This is the end.